Hello again, Netrunner fans. Willingdon here, and I just read an excellent article on stimhack.com called Fallacies in Netrunner and How to Avoid Them. And there's a lot of good stuff going on in the article, but I think one of the most important points was about shuffling. And I thought it'd be a useful exercise for me to come onto my channel and show you the method that I use to shuffle in either a tournament setting or just playing casually with friends. I can't stress how important it is to randomize your deck well during a game and before a game. I think that if you have a poor method of shuffling, it can very negatively impact a lot of aspects of your gameplay. It's very, very, very important to randomize your deck well. So the first thing I want to talk about was playmat and sleeves. Use them. They're really cheap. I think this playmat was like $8 or something. And if you play in a tournament, you might be able to win a fancy one. I'm just using a plain red one here, about $8. I'm also using the Dragon Shield brand of sleeves. These last forever, and I think they're about $10 USD for one of these packs of 100. So the first thing I'm going to do is what's called a pile shuffle, but I think the term shuffle is a bit misleading here. This is not designed to randomize the cards. The reason I'm doing this is to make sure that I have all of the cards in my deck. I don't want to start a game, especially in a tournament, and not have counted my deck beforehand. I think this is just the easiest way overall to count your deck. I'm using 7 piles here, 7 in each. That's a 49 card deck. Obviously, if you're playing a runner deck, it's probably going to make more sense to do 5 piles. So in general, you want to count your deck like this before you play. It's much better to determine that you have an illegal deck now before we start playing. I can go look for the cards I'm missing. It's much better to do that now rather than figure out I have an illegal deck in the middle of a game. That can be disastrous. So after I've done this pile shuffle, we're getting ready to actually shuffle the deck. The first method that I use is the Riffle Shuffle. And this is something you're probably familiar with just standard card games. The idea is to take 2 equal packs. You're going to try to cut it about in half, as close to 50-50 as you can. And what we're going to do is we're going to drop them into each other so that they weave 1 card from each pile. Now, the easiest way to do this in sleeves is to understand that the sleeves are more rigid on the bottom than they are on the top where the opening is. At the part of the opening, it's going to be fairly flexible. At the bottom, it's going to be a lot stronger. So what you're going to do is you're going to grip them so that these backs are going to come together. And we're going to put them in angled like this. We're just looking at these corners being interweaved. Right? We don't need to do it side to side. We're just going to do only these corners, and then we're going to push them together like that. And the thing with the Riffle Shuffle is it's easy to do several of them quickly. I really like this method, and if you do it right, you don't really need to bend the cards at all. I don't think that this damages the cards at all. But I won't usually Riffle Shuffle my opponent's deck because I think a lot of people have seen disastrous Riffle Shuffles that bend the cards and stuff. And while I don't think that my method bends them, I think it's kind of a respect thing to not do it to my opponent's deck. So the most powerful method that we have for shuffling beyond the Riffle is what's called the Mash Shuffle. The Mash Shuffle is the basic same concept, except we're going to do it off of the play surface. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to get 2 even piles again. And I'm going to hold them like this. So this is my grip here. We have a cradle underneath on the right hand, 1 finger up here, and the thumb is going to be slightly up towards the top of the cards. This hand, we're doing this, where we're exposing this end right here. The goal is going to be to insert the middle of this pile into this corner. So we're going to just drop them in like this. And it's fairly difficult to do slowly, but I hope that this demonstrates it here. We're just dropping them in. There's no pressure required here. It's all just dropping them in. And once you get good at doing this, you can very quickly randomize your deck using this method. Now, something I like to incorporate is to just pull a section out of the middle. The biggest reason I do that is one of the weaknesses of the mash shuffle is if the pile in your left hand is much larger than the pile in your right hand, you can preserve a pack of like, 5 or 6 cards at the top that don't get mixed in. So I like to do this, do my mash shuffle, and then after maybe 3 or 4 of them, I'll do that and then do some more mash shuffles. You really just can't do enough of these. The article recommend doing 10 mash shuffles. I think that's about right. And the thing that's so good about the mash shuffle is that it's never going to damage the cards. It's very fluid. It's easy to do a lot of them rapidly, and you can just do it while you're chatting with your opponent. And you can easily do this like if you have to shuffle with Jackson Howard or something like that. So I really, really like the mash shuffle. I'd recommend using some combinations of the riffles and the mash to randomize your deck. So I hope this helped. And if you liked it, please subscribe and press the thumbs up button. And I'll see you again for some more Netrunner stuff.